There is much to talk about. Let's get to our panel. Mostatabi is the Communications Director at the National Iranian-American Council here in Washington. With us from Connecticut is Iranian-American journalist and author Roya Hakakayan. Her memoir, Journey from the Land of No, focuses on growing up as a Jewish teenager in post-revolutionary Iran. Muqtada Khan founded the University of Delaware's Islamic Studies program, where he serves as a professor of political science and international relations. And joining us via Skype is Professor Nasser Hadian. He teaches law and political science at the University of Tehran. Thank you to all of you for joining us. We've heard very divergent opinions here. What's your view?
Look, I think something that is missing is this conversation around this emerging generation. Folks my age who were born after the revolution or who don't remember it happening at all, they're very divorced from the ideology that drove that revolution in the first place. That revolution hinged on independence, and a lot of the same problems that you saw under the Shah were just kind of retranslated into various forms under the current regime. But the reality is you have, essentially what amounts to Iranian millennials coming of age, highly educated, with no economic opportunities. So what the revolution has given them is nothing.
You know, talking about economic opportunity, there were demonstrations in 2017, 2018 against the troubled economy in Iran. The last 4 decades, I think we can safely say, have been marked by Iran coming under some kind of pressure all the time. There wasn't a time when it wasn't under some kind of sanctions, especially from the United States. What impact has that had on the country?
Well, it essentially leaves Iran in sort of the state of arrested development. There's no reason for a country that has such immense natural resources, such a highly educated population, to be in the sort of flailing economic state that it is. And what's interesting to see is that now, years later, you're having these conversations for the first time where the straw man set up by the regime to blame the United States for all the pressure is actually being questioned by the Iranian population, and they're looking at, well, there's widespread corruption, there's mismanagement, in the government, not only in terms of the economy, but in terms of land and water management. You're seeing this discussion broaden in a lot of ways that we haven't seen before.
All right. How stable is the Iranian theocracy? I mean, what kind of opposition does the leadership in Iran face? So
part of the problem is that there's no real unified opposition in Iran. Their grievances are as diverse as the democracies themselves. Right. You have labor protests, you have environmental activists, you have women's rights activists, as has been noted. How stable are they? Honestly, I'm not sure. I think that if the U.S. goal is to undermine this regime, then withdrawing from the JCPOA probably wasn't the best way to do it. All that it's done is it's strengthened the hardliners, it's weakened the moderates. Rouhani's rhetoric has been pushed more to the right. There's not a lot of evaluation here that was done, I think.
Well, not just that, not just withdrawing from the nuclear agreement. I'll get to you in a moment, Nasser. We just heard last year the U.S. National Security Advisor, John Bolton, asking the U.S. Department of Defense to look at options for a military strike against Iran.
Right. You also have John Bolton, who's accepted thousands of dollars from so-called the legitimate Iranian opposition and the MEK. So all of these people are very agenda-driven. They aren't really out for the Iranian people. Anything they say is lip service. I wouldn't put much stock in any of that.